What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. I am the Guitarist 562 and I do video game guides and walkthroughs. And in today's video, I want to talk about what exactly is the best blessing for the Berserker. And I know that's a big question that everyone's been asking me, and honestly, I was basically torn between Lionheart and Mark of the Wolf. But I will say this, if you're a new Berserker going into the game, I will say to focus on Mark of the Wolf at the moment. Mark of the Wolf is by far one of the best blessings that you can have for the Berserker, and I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. I have it completely maxed out for beating Earth, and that is legitimately the only real one that kind of really matters. It's the cheapest one to get maxed out, and it gives you optimal DPS to clear high endgame content. Now, a lot of people say Lionheart is the best blessing, and I feel that once you have this all the way to max, I think level 10 is the max, if I'm not mistaken, for the first three and level 20 for the last one, for Lionheart Legacy, or I'm sorry, the Breath of the Line. And I do believe that this is very, very efficient. However, I'm going to show you guys the reason why can't stand behind Lionheart Legacy yet. So I do plan on upgrading it to the max eventually on Xbox once it gets there. But first and foremost, I'm going to show you guys the skills that I do have. So I have Guillotine one away from max. The max amount of damage you can get from Guillotine is actually level 29. So this is what it's gonna look like unbuffed. So I have a Mythic 5A weapon. My crit rate is actually really poor. Let me actually switch to my DPS build. If I, let's see, is it that one? No, it's this one right here. I need a crit damage chest piece, so I'm just gonna leave that right there. I don't have the A one, but you know what? I'm gonna go for the reds so I can do a specific build. Let's see, I got the gloves there, the shoulders, the waist. Terrible build, by the way. Completely terrible build. This is not the build this is not an end game build or the video that I'm going to be doing either. This is just a crappy temporary build. But as you can see, unbuffed, I have 8,836 AP. So, this is what it's looking to look like with your basic guillotines. So, without any buffs, nothing fancy. I'm hitting 62s and, 90k on the crits. Nothing fancy. 62s. Now, with the rage mode, I'll have 78k and 119. Now, for Lionheart Legacy, you have to actually have everything buffed up. As you guys saw, the blessing itself, once you get to Legendary at max, I assume it's giving you around 40%. I'm saying I assume because I know for a fact you can get up to at least 40% based off of what a friend of mine has. How he has his at legendary already. So it gives me 20%, 15% with what I have now. So as you guys can see, I went from 155 to 171. But because of the fact that I'm using a crit damage blessing, I'm not gonna be like changing too many things. I'm gonna show you guys the difference. So you saw 66k and then 77 or 78, when I was raised up. But as you can see, I need to get to the 10 stack so you can actually safely see me get much, much, much stronger. So let me give it a fair assessment. Alright, here we go. 43, we gotta wait for it to be the 10 stacks. Alright, so with the 10 stacks, I'm hitting at 52,000.
Alright, so I'm gonna basically have a side-by-side comparison here, and I'm gonna show you guys. On the left is Wolf, and on the right is Lionheart. Lionheart has the 10 attack stack, so that's a 20% AP buff, but as you can see, I'm still out DPSing my basic attacks by 20,000. Even my crits are hitting for substantially a lot more. And I know some people are going to be like, oh, well, it's because your build is terrible, your build is bad. And that's what makes Wolf a bit more dangerous because of the fact that I am not using the endgame build that I'm actually going to be creating for everyone to see. I would be stacking 14 reds and 2 whites with more AP and crit damage and crit rate so I can actually start critting more. I would actually be using a crit damage helmet as well. And on top of that, the right side is actually Lionheart with a bit more crit damage because not only that, I'm using the belt as well. And I'm also using S gloves, which have superior damage than the attack gloves that I have right now. And it's still under DPSing Wolf. All I'm missing now is to have it legendary at to add another 20% crit damage, and then I'll start seeing some more juicier numbers to actually make a fair assessment. Because at this point, it's still unfair because I have a maxed out legendary Shockwave, 80% extra damage versus I'm still missing 20% crit damage, which I tried adding with the belt, but even then that wasn't enough to actually make the numbers a bit more inviting. The only thing left to go for with Lionheart Legacy on the actual Berserker is the fact that with max level at Legendary, you get around 14 seconds to proc the 100% crit rate. And that's actually pretty dope, especially when you stack it along with, the mark, of a Ranger and Lionheart, stack with the attack buff of Satyr, and you start stacking everything. It's actually really nice to constantly be critting, but does critting mean anything if you're hitting like a noodle compared to Wolf? And again, I'm going to revisit this conversation when I start having more, when I max out Lionheart. I'm actually going to go back and do that again, but until then, I'm still going to stand behind the fact that Wolf is still the superior blessing because of the fact that it doesn't require too much setup. But I will say that Lionheart Legacy, if you do set up like what I'm doing right here, I'm trying to proc my 100% crit rate right here, meaning that you won't have to actually use a crit rate helmet. You're not going to have to use a crit rate belt. You're not going to have to really focus on crit rate accessories, and you can just stack crit damage and attack here. And that's what's going to, make it really stand out. So as you can see, I'm hitting 77,000 and I'm constantly critting, and that's off of off rage. And as you guys saw, like, it's around the same. My crits were hitting as my basics when I was whatchamacallit, on Mark of the Wolf. So you decide what you want. Personally, I'm still gonna stick with Wolf. I'm just gonna again revisit this whole concept in this whole video once I'm fully maxed out Lionheart Legacy on the Berserker. I still feel that it has the potential to out DPS Wolf, but in terms of like consistency and damage, I just feel that Wolf just constantly puts pressure on the boss more consistently, because you can put defense down with Shoulder Strike. You constantly have a fully charged Earthbreak, a constantly fully charged Cleave, and on top of that, you're never like really struggling to keep your rage active on Wolf at all. Versus on Lionheart, even with 14 seconds, you're just kind of constantly chasing down combos to make sure that your stacks are continuously moving. You're gonna probably have to swap out Earthbreaker for like a Siege just to have a quick move to make sure that your stacks are always moving. But that's pretty much it for today's video. You decide what you feel. You make a decision based off of what I've shared. But my opinion is Wolf is still the superior blessing. But yeah, that's literally all I have to say. It's the superior blessing in my opinion. Remember, opinions are like what everybody has. Everybody has opinions. I'm just showing you the side-by-side comparison. You guys decide for yourself. I'm still gonna definitely max out Lionheart Legacy. That's the next step for me, because I still feel like it has potential. But until then, stick with Mark of the Wolf because it's the easiest and most efficient way to get the damage out of your Zerker. Thank you guys, and as always, stay blessed.